Hi Zinhle. How are you?
So what do I call you? Do I call you Noni or Miss Cosmo?
Miss Cosmo, how? Miss
You're
Cosmo
my
works
friend.
at
I'm
5
to
FM.
Noni.
Oh, okay.
Noni, Mina. So, excuse me.
Thank you for joining us on FEMMEnomenal with 5FM. We're basically recording a couple of podcasts with some phenomenal women for Women's Month. And you were my chosen phenomenal woman for this Women's Month.
I know you chose me because I'm your friend.
No,
but it's okay.
not really. I actually do admire you as much as you think I'm trash. But you
wow,
know,
what a big word.
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, I still look up to you for certain things.
I look
up
to you too, friend.
Oh,
thank you.
How sweet are you?
I'm not sweet, I'm serious.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. Part of the reason why I actually chose you for this, for the specific podcast is I think a lot of people look at you and they see the outside, they see the achievements, they see the glitz, the glam, they see the amazing, the selfies, they see the lavish lifestyle. But I wanted to kind of dig in a little bit deeper to the person that I know personally, the sweet, humble person that people don't really get to see that often. More so than that, I think a lot of people don't realize how much work you actually put into your brand. And I wanted to kind of dive into certain things like that. And speaking of your brand, one of the most important things I think for me, over and above any other musician who's maybe on the up and up, is seeing your consistency and how you've managed to keep that relevant for so many years. I think a lot of people hearing of the name DJ Zinhle way back in Oskido's days to where you are now, it's been a long time running.
It has, 15 years.
15 years is a long time.
It is.
How do you think you've managed to maintain that consistency for so long?
I do think as DJs we have an advantage. So I think of all, I believe that of all the entertainment professions, ours is the most sustainable one. But obviously it takes a lot of work. So, and I think like you said, I mean, I grew up around people like Oskido, and I was raised to hustle from all angles, you know. I think now that I'm now like with the newer generation, like you guys and like the younger guys, it's a different hustle, but I'm coming from like the hustle like of Kalawa, of nothing. Like you have to keep pushing, like you take every gig, you make everything work, you meet every appointment. So I think the consistency comes from being consistent with the hard work and just honoring every commitment and
Do you think certain people who get to a certain level of their brands might potentially become a little complacent and maybe a little comfortable and lazy to actually continue putting in the hard work to get themselves to the next level? Because sometimes you'll find as brands, you'll give yourself a bit of a goal. Once you've reached it, then you're like, okay, I've made it.
I don't normally think that's the case. My first instinct is that a lot of us don't have information. Like we don't have information or an education about what we're supposed to do when we get to a certain level. So because also we don't even think we'll get to that level. Like most of us are surprised to even get to where we think we're gonna get. You know. So I think that the biggest gap for me has always just that I've noticed with a lot of artists is just that they don't know where to take it from when they've made it big, or how to sustain making it big. Because our industry is just like that. We don't have information readily available where you can just where you can go and say, okay, now I'm at this level, what can I do next? And also it's an education. You have to educate yourself. You have to learn the trends. You need to, I mean, I could have died with the older generation and not been able to sustain with the newer generation because I don't know how to adapt and adjust to what's happening now. And we always make a joke about this, but you need to stay ahead of the trend because as an opinion leader or a famous person, you need to be ahead of the trends. People need to look up to you for something. And as soon as people don't necessarily look up to you for something, I mean, the talent is given and whatever else you're doing. But as soon as you are not exciting enough for people to say, okay, Miss Cosmo is doing this podcast or Miss Cosmo is doing this is what we look forward to when we're looking at Miss Cosmo. Because I feel like having the talent is like
the get you so far.
Exactly. So you have, we always, not Numuzi, Pearl and I always say it's the super in the superstar. We are all stars, but the super requires you to be a level ahead. You need to know the trends, you need to know what's up, you need to know how to excite people about your brand.
That's so true. And I like that you mentioned education because I think that's also an important thing for a lot of people. And whenever I say education, whenever I say education is important, everyone just thinks textbooks and they think university and boring.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, no, you don't necessarily have to go to university. It needs to be educated or well versed in whatever space you're in, whether you're researching, whether you're keeping up with trends, like you're saying, social media, or if you are taking a class just to better yourself with whatever you're doing. Is that, or was that a bit of a motivation for you to open Fuse Academy?
It was definitely the motivation, because I realized that, just like I said, our industry doesn't have information that a young artist can use or a developed artist can use. I just wanted to inject information where I could, or the things that I had learned, and that was definitely the motivation behind Fuse Academy. And also, I just felt that for my industry, or for me as a female DJ to be more credible, there needed to be other female DJs. The industry must grow for us to be credible. It can't just be me and you and Sindo. For it to be credible, there need to be other DJs, and that's the idea behind Fuse Academy.
It was basically just about opening the door up to those girls. And obviously the amount of effort and time and that you've injected into these young girls, do you see most of them flourishing as well? Do you guys have like a follow-up program as to how their careers are doing and such?
Well, I mean, you know how hard it is to build a brand as a DJ, and it takes time. I mean, I'm only feeling like I'm getting into my groove after 15 years, and you've been around for a long time. You know how hard it is to just build a brand where it's now a national brand and people are receiving you. I feel comfortable with the progress of most of the girls, because most of the time when you go to the smaller towns, you'll find them doing their own thing. I mean, I would like for them to blow up and be at your level or at the level that other DJs are at, but I think it's going to take time, and also it's going to take a lot of work, because sometimes we misunderstand the opportunity. We just think because there are no female DJs, if I become a female DJ, it's automatically gonna just happen for me. But people don't understand how much time it takes and how much hard work it takes to build a brand.
To actually get there. Do you think it worked to your advantage, having worked in a marketing space? For you to understand how to take your brand to the next level? Do you think it obviously just kind of put you at an extra higher level, or not necessarily higher level, but just gave you that bigger boost for you to think outside of the box to get you where you are?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I always tell my team that everything that I'm doing now are the things that I learned when I was at SAB working as a brand rep, and also the stuff that I learned at school. It has helped me a lot in building my brand and just having my hand in different things, and it really helped. So as much as it's a formal structure of education versus what we would learn on our own, I feel like it has helped me a lot.
I understand that, because I say that a lot as well, especially with my finance background, because a lot of people were just like, how is it that you worked in a bank but now you're a DJ? And I'm like, well, you know, that experience still worked for me regardless, because it taught me how to be professional. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, especially in the creative space, because you find people can be immensely talented but have zero professionalism, and that makes it that much more difficult for you to work with certain people in spaces and such. And have you found that being a bit of a gap, the professionalism with regards to the girls coming up? Because I know some of them can try and they'll get themselves to a certain space, but for them to kind of push through certain barriers, there's little things that are always holding them back.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of small things that add up to something big. Like, it's just, it's the extra, you know? And people say, the one book I read actually said, winners are the people who are willing to do what other people are not normally willing to do. So you having that finance background, and you constantly investing in your brand and learning and your professionalism, and how easy it is for people to work with you, and how you maintain relationships, goes a long way. And this is something we're not taught. This is something that we have to learn on our own. I didn't know these things until I went to SAP and I worked in a formal environment. So just understanding that making it easy for people to work with you is a big plus for the industry. So professionalism, being reliable is a big plus. And I feel like I have noticed it in a lot of people. I mean, I met one girl, and that weekend she missed a few of her gigs. Right? And I was like, do you know that I've been a DJ for more than 5 years? I mean, 15 years, and I've never missed as many gigs as you have. So, but just not understanding just
the severity.
Exactly. So it's something that we still have to learn.
Yeah, it's something that we still have to kind of instill in the younger girls. Okay, so Fast forward a little bit in your career. Obviously, you had worked with the likes of Mosquito and some of the greats in our career. And it's great to kind of come from a background like that, because not everybody has that kind of backing and knowledge. Do you think it's important to have certain pillars like that for you to
Like a
work
mentor.
off of? Like a mentor, being able to pick up the phone and call DJ Tira, or being able to call Mosquito, or being able to call Black Coffee at whatever point in the game that you are in. How important is that, do you think it is for females in music?
I think it's very important. I mean, I started off very dependent on Mosquito and Galao and the support that I was getting from them. And then over time, I moved away because I wanted to see if I could build things on my own. And once you start making things on your own, you start getting a big head thinking, oh, I'm doing it, I can make it. So Mosquito is one person specifically that's always able to pull me back and say, yo, you can't do it this way. No, you can't do it this way. Black Coffee would DM me and say, no, don't do this. Or someone, Tira, will call me and say, no, don't do it this way. So I think it's very important. But speaking of mentors, I think another thing that we can appreciate about having a mentor is that you don't actually have to have access to them. There are people that you can benchmark from, you know, from a distance. Like you can look at and say, oh, this person is doing well in this sector. I would like to study how they do it. Why are they winning in this in this sector? Why are they making it? Like, I always talk to my girls about how I had a conversation with you, and you were saying you want to be the voice of hip-hop, you want to have conversations about hip-hop, and I've watched you over the years being the voice, like the person who can have conversations about hip-hop, and you're not just a female DJ or just a radio DJ, but you have now decided that this is the space that I'm going to exist in, and I watch that all the time, and I learn that because I'm just like, where can I apply that in my life? It's not necessarily that I have to call you and say, oh, Noni, can I please find out how you are doing this? I watch you all the time. I listen to your interviews with artists, I see who you have on the show, and I realized that this is exactly what Noni said she was going to do. She's going to have conversations about hip-hop with people, and I watched that and I'm like, okay, I can benchmark that and use it in a different part of my career.
I understand that. Thank you so much for keep watching, girl. You know, we love the support. I keep tuning in.
Wow.
All right, so obviously being a brand is one thing. Being an artist, I think, is a completely different thing, because now you're in a creative space, because brand, I think, is a little bit more strategic.
Sure.
Being an artist, you have to now think, what do the people want to hear? What feels good or what sounds good? Coming off a huge song like My Name Is, which solidified yourself as an artist, but over and above that also gave an introduction to Busiswa into the industry.
And Mapurisa.
And Mapurisa as well. How do you sit back in that creative process to say, okay, this is the type of music I want to put out to the world? Is it what you want, or do you sit back and say, what do the people want to hear?
I'm a selfish artist. I definitely normally put out what I really like. And I have people that I look at, I'm just like, you see, if you think of a song like Colors, I said to Oscar, I want a song like that because of Ganyane's song, Talk to Me. I was just like, soul music is coming back, and I'm a soulful person. This is amazing. This song is big and it's doing so well. I said to Oscar, I want that sound. I don't want to go the direction of My Name Is. I want to go with the sound that I like. So I feel like I am more of a selfish artist. I
or what you're feeling
music.
at the time.
I make the music that I like, but obviously I guess I have the advantage of knowing what the crowd reacts to, so I am able to make music sometimes that people can react to. So I think I have that advantage, but I'm very much on making music that I also enjoy.
That's so awesome. I think everybody can kind of see the soul that you're talking about, and the love that you kind of show with the music videos as well, and the type of music you're trying to put out. But also working with the likes of Busiswa at her entry into the industry, you've now worked with somebody like Bonj, who's now on your brand new single, who's now just subsequently been signed by Universal. Is it important for you to work with up-and-coming artists to actually get them out there as well?
I think it's two things for me. One, I think an up-and-coming artist is more accessible in terms of performances, in terms of just availability. I need you to come with me to 5FM. I'll come with you. I'll come do an interview with you. But if I do a song with Noni's going to tell me she's going to gig wherever.
I know that chat. So try working with rappers.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So, but also it gives me so much joy to help someone start something. especially if it doesn't take anything away from me.
Yeah.
And I've recently worked on a song called Umlilo, my new single.
Yes.
With Uritabile. Uritabile is Winnie Khumalo's daughter. She literally hit me up on DM, and then the next week we were in the studio recording the song. But just how keen she is, and it's the same thing even with Bonj and Busiswa. Just how keen and talented they are is a big thing for me. So for me, at any point, it's not even just with music, like, even with my hair, makeup, if I can put someone on, like, it gives me a lot of joy.
That's so great. And obviously working with different types of brands, different types of people, you're obviously kind of nurturing new energies into the industry. Was that kind of the reason why you also then took a step back and say, let me also reintroduce a new energy by bringing in Era?
I think I actually wanted to mention this before. I'm glad you asked now. I think the strength of a brand like myself or yours is also in existing in spaces where people don't normally expect you to be there, but like now you're there. Now people can have a different conversation about Noni.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you could just be a hip hop DJ going to the club, but when people are having a conversation about radio, they can also have a conversation about you because you have a radio show. When people are having a conversation about people who know what is happening in hip hop, like I don't know what you guys call yourselves, but when there's a space where there's a debate about hip hop, excuse me, people can call you. So now you're existing in more spaces than just you being a DJ. So that is my idea. I feel like if I can be in other spaces that make sense to my brand, then I can stay consistent. I can stay relevant.
Yes.
And also I love business. Like Era for me was a clear choice. You've stressed me so much. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah,
but
I was about to say, girl.
I know. I even when I got here, I wanted to say, but I thought, hey, let me not delay this interview anymore. But I love business, and I've always loved accessories, so I thought, let me do something like that. But I'm always looking to get into other things, and I feel like that's something that we are lucky to be able to do. Like you can wake up tomorrow and decide you want to launch like a new nail polish line, and you're able to because you have that influence.
Yes, I see that. And did you think Era would get to where it is today? Because I see there's a lot of big collaborations that you're involved with as well. I saw you shooting a TV ad with American Swiss, which is really awesome. But obviously as an entry point for you to say, okay, I'm starting this watch brand. I don't know if people are going to like it. And it's sustained itself for so long that it's a running business on its own, where you don't actually have to use your brand to sell it anymore.
So I don't know. I mean, I think you would know because you're my friend, but I hadn't been signing deals for a long time. Like I hadn't been signing deals like I am now. Like I haven't been like I've just been a DJ for a long time, and I've been running Fuse. And at some point, I was pretty hacked, like how much I have to back brands just to be part of their whatever they do.
Yes.
So I started Era for two reasons. The first one was I wanted to build a brand that was going to be so strong that these brands would come to me instead of me having to approach them. So I thought, okay, I want to build a brand that is so strong that someone is eventually going to come to me and say, we want your brand in our store, and which eventually happened with American Swiss. So there was a vision for Era. And also, like I said, I was very dependent on Oskido and my family and my friends at the time, that I couldn't do anything without them. Like everything I did, a business venture, I did it with friends. If there was anything, it was always with someone. So Era for me was a way to prove to myself that I could do something on my own.
Your own.
So I started Era on my own just to see if I could do something that big and make it work. And when I made that work, it just made a lot of sense in my life, and I could just like make things work on
Amazing. And I think one thing I loved about how you've consistently maintained yourself over and above that Era, and also kind of spread Era to a national point, was also your particular use of social media. I don't think people understand how natural it kind of needs to be for you to influence people to say, buy into what I'm selling. Because you could easily just put up a flyer and be like, here are the prices, buy a watch. You know what I mean? But you've kind of incorporated it in a way where it feels so natural that people want to buy a watch. How important do you think it is for yourself to actually use social media, especially in today's times where people aren't necessarily going to a physical store to buy something, where they're buying online and waiting for it for delivery?
I mean, I come from an era that didn't have social media. When I started DJing, we had Facebook, and that was like the biggest social media. But I don't know if it's smart or just lucky enough to think there's something about this social media thing. So I actually went out of my way to study like social media and what Americans are doing, or the people that were ahead of us.
Yeah.
And so with everything that we've done really on social media, whether it's for DJ Zinhle or for Ira or for anyone else, it was always planned and well thought out. And again, it's an educational thing. Like, you need to learn from other people that are making it work, and you need to find out what is it that makes like Noni's brand work so well with social media. So I'm very good at analyzing things. Like even with if someone is filling up the dome, or whatever, I'm just always checking what did they do right in terms of social media. Like, I'm always watching what people are doing right. So social media is very important, but I don't think we realize how small it is at this stage in our country, especially.
Really?
I don't think we realize how small social media is and how big it's still gonna get. So the more authentic we are, the more we're gonna attract the right market. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to suddenly start showing my bum on social media or twerking, or that's not me. It just needs to feel as natural to me as possible, and I think that's the biggest plus. But that's the hardest thing to do, because it's so easy to, especially for you as a hip hop person, to say, but in hip hop people are just
it's working all the time. That's what you're supposed to do.
Like, why am I not on my album cover with the bum?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you.
That's so true.
It's just, you just need to be authentic. But I think people need to realize how much power there is in social media, and just how much more power there's going to be in social media.
Yeah.
And I think we underestimate how much.
Look how excited you are. You're like a little child.
I'm not excited. I'm scared. I'm scared, and also
you
a little excited.
You look excited, which is good, because at least you know how to use it. Some people are still battling and
I don't
trying
know
to
if
figure
I
it
know how
out.
to use it. I mean, I know how to use it for me, but I don't know how to control the reaction, and I guess none of us can control the reaction.
I hear that. All right, so I want to kind of switch up the chat a bit, and also kind of concentrate on Zinhle the person.
Sure.
I think, if anything, everybody kind of knows that you have basically grown in the public eye. And I say grown by virtue of, yes, you started out as a DJ and that's what we knew you as, but a lot of your personal life has also kind of been
Played out.
very public.
Yeah.
You became a mother publicly.
Yeah.
You went through an emotional relationship publicly.
Yeah.
But over and above that, you came through it and you still said, I'm going to be better than this situation. So let's kind of start it off with becoming a mother. The biggest fear that most artists have, and I remember I was actually watching an interview Cardi B had, where a lot of people were very worried about the fact that she was getting pregnant at the point she was supposed to drop her album. They're like, girl, you need to PR this album. How are you going to do that when you got a belly? I actually watched her at Coachella perform with her stomach. I think she was 8 months at the time. It's very difficult for us to kind of take that plunge. Why were you so comfortable at that point to actually say, let me be a mom at the peak? Well, not necessarily peak, but things were picking up at that point for you to still say, I'm still going to do this.
I definitely had the same fears for a long time, of losing relevance or not being able to work and people forgetting about me while I'm pregnant. But I mean, who are these people? Who think, now that I think about, who are these people who think just because we are pregnant we can't do anything at all? I'm just saying. But I mean, age was one factor, but also I think people think I maybe had this big thought process and
a
I
plan.
sat down and I plan. Literally, I sat with one of my friend's aunts and she was just like, yo, you can work all your life, but literally you need a baby. That's the purpose of a woman, and I'm not saying it's the purpose for everyone else, but it just made so much sense to me, especially because when my godmother died, she was also concerned about me just working and not having a child, and I was just like, okay, this is happening again.
And
then she was just like, just have a baby, man. The things that you're worried about are not going to happen anyway, just have a baby. And then I was convinced. I remember we were at a restaurant in the south. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to have a baby. I went the next day, I spoke to Ken and I said, Manje, I just need a baby. How do you feel?
Can we just make the pots come together?
And then he was like, yeah, why not? And then that was it.
Oh,
nice. It was a scary thing to do, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. It wasn't bad at all, actually. I just feel like we need actually to have that conversation where we can make people understand that just because a woman falls pregnant doesn't mean that they're going to lose their creative process, or they're going to lose their talent, or because someone takes time off for a month or forever long. I mean, look at Happy Girl. She was DJing until she was 9 months pregnant. So,
I was doing 4 shows until she gave birth.
I think now we need to change the conversation to, actually, guys, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Like, don't worry. Like, we can have babies and work. I mean, I am supposed to have my second baby, or I would like to have a second baby, but that thing is so strong. Like, that conversation is so strong in society that I'm still like, oh, if I have a baby now, what's going to happen?
Have people not labeled you as umama, so you shouldn't be in the club because you're a mom?
No, not at all.
The
only weird thing at the club is that they'll announce me as Mama Cairo. I'm just like...
Because Cairo's more famous than you. Don't you know that?
Oh, thank you, Cairo, for putting me on.
Do you know when I realized she was more famous than you? Was at AKA's launch for Touch My Blood. And he was there on stage, busy being AKA's, being himself. And then you rolled in late, coming in with like a grand entrance with the pram. And everybody's just like, oh my gosh, look, there's Cairo.
No.
I was like, you guys don't even care that Zinhle's pushing the pram.
Cairo's there.
Cairo's in this. So I was like, hey man, you've created a bit of a superstar there, huh?
My poor baby.
And I can see she's also becoming, she's enjoying the attention, she's enjoying the love as well.
I think she's just, she's lucky to have Lynn, Kinen's mom, who's able to help her like with the jobs that she's getting. But I don't think she necessarily understands what's going on.
She just takes a picture and goes to play.
She just takes a big picture, she records, and I think what helps now is that in any case, we're always recording in the house. Like, even
so
in your
natural.
house. Yeah, like we're always snapping something, we always record. So if it's a different camera, it's not like, now why are you recording me? So she doesn't think it's for a job. She just thinks, oh, it's part of the recording, but she doesn't know anything.
You're abusing the child. Hey, we need to go and double check what's happening there in Zinhle's house.
You understand? No, I'm just saying, like, it's natural now. Like, the cameras are just always in everyone's face.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So also pertaining to you being a mother, like I mentioned, you also went through a very emotional time, going through a very public breakup, which subsequently obviously resulted in your book, Meeting Your Power. You obviously met your power at some point and now have found yourself finding forgiveness to getting back together with AKA. And I think a lot of people sit back, and obviously from a public perspective, we're all gonna sit back and judge and say, clown of the century, why would you go back? You know what I mean? But everybody goes through emotions, everybody goes through different situations. What was important for you during that transition to say, I'm still going to find my happiness, and if it's with this person, let it be?
I think the other problem is that we think sometimes that these decisions are like, you know, like you sit down and you plan and it's a big thing. And sometimes, and I've heard people saying that I'm back with Kinen because we have a child together, it's for my child. It's definitely not for Cairo. For both of us, it was definitely not about Cairo. Cairo could still have a normal and healthy, like, lifestyle with her parents separated at any point. But for me, it was, I just wanted to be with Kinen, really. Like, and it's not an easy thing. Like, it wasn't an easy thing. Like, oh, I want to be with him. You're available, come. No, it was a big process. Like, it took a long time for me to even think that I could make things work with Kinen. I mean, I've had conversations with you where I was just like, what? Never, ever again. But I guess also just me feeling like I really know the person that he is, like I know him for who he is, or I understand him, just made it, I guess, simpler, not even to forgive. I can't even say that forgiveness is something that I can say I've granted. Like, it's an ongoing process, like for both of us, you know. And I mean, with therapy, with everything that we have to go through, it's not something that I said one day and said, actually, I'm going to go back to Kinen. It was really like a gradual thing. Like, we just found ourselves back together again. Like, we started talking again because the relationship was strained a little bit. So we started talking again, we started laughing again, we started getting along again, and then eventually we were just like hanging out. And then it just happened. It wasn't that, oh, you are out, I'm in, thank you. No.
But I believe guys are playing musical chairs there.
No, it took a long time.
I can imagine. But You are obviously happy where you are. You look happier much now. So I think that's the important thing at the end of the day is the two people in the relationship need to be happy and need to have come to a point where they're saying this is what we need for each other. And like I mentioned, I mean, it got to a point where you actually wrote the book. Did you see yourself writing a book at any point in your life for you to actually say, hey, this is something that I need to do to kind of release my feelings or tell my story?
No, not at all. I've never ever thought I'd write a book. And I wrote a book, one, because, excuse me, I'm so sick. I don't know if you remember, I did a show called It Takes a Village.
Yes.
On SABC 1. And from that show, just sitting with the girls and having these conversations and going through these tough situations that these girls were going through, I just realized how much there is no conversation between an older lady and a younger girl in this country. Like, I don't know, maybe with other cultures, but I just felt like, even with me, like my mom avoided all types of awkward conversations.
Really?
Like, my mom would rather die than have a conversation with me about anything. Like, so anything that I had to learn about, like, I mean, she instilled good things in me, like respect and consideration and but like, I couldn't have a conversation with my mom about sex, or I couldn't have a conversation with my mom about like just the awkward things. And my mom is a working woman, and she didn't have the time sometimes. She was tired, or she was cooking, she was taking care of her family, and but I just realized that even with all the girls that we were in the house with, I'm just like, whenever I ask, so what, who are you talking to about this? No one. Can't you talk to your mom? No, my mom and I don't have that kind of relationship. Can't you talk to your sister? No, my sister, you know what I mean? So I just realized that there's just no conversation between the older woman and the younger woman. Like, which article have you read where you were just like, oh wow, I'm so glad I read this article about I don't know who, and it has taught me so much about myself as a woman and about understanding myself. So I wanted to write that book because I thought the things that I had learned, I could tell to someone else. I could tell someone else about them and see if it works for them too. But also remember, I had also had that Moments blog that I had been writing all this. Excuse me. So that reception that we got from Moments, people just want information, and there's no information. Like, there are no libraries of information for anything in this country. Like, if I read a motivational book, which motivational book have I read? A South African motivational book. All my favorite motivational speakers are international, your Robin Sharmas and the likes. So I wanted us to like just start that culture. And I know the other people that have been writing books like DJs Wu and the likes, but I just thought, who's having conversation with young girls? Like, who's talking to young girls about confidence? Because we hear it on ads.
Yes.
Oh, your confidence is
Yes,
everything.
you're strong.
You're this, you're
powerful.
strong. I don't know what that means. Like, in simplified terms, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean that?
What do I have to do to feel that?
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, where do I find my confidence? Like, how do I feel comfortable in who I am? Like, people say, just be you, be yourself. Like, what does it mean? What does it mean when I don't even know who I am? So I just wanted to start the conversation. That's what the book, that is why I wrote the book.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And just to kind of close off a little, I also have noticed a lot that you keep a lot of personal relationships that obviously are in the public eye as well, but I know you're very particular with who you keep in your circle or keep around you.
Yeah.
And obviously your relationship with Pearl has also kind of been far more public than most. And people have seen how joyous and how happy you guys are together. Some might say you guys came together because you were common enemies or whatever the case may be, but now you kind of found love on it. How important do you think it is for you to create female strong relationships to keep you strong as a powerful woman?
I don't know if you remember this conversation that I had with you. I think it was years ago also, and we were talking about female DJs and the industry. And I think I remember saying to you, I'm not interested in like having beef with any female DJs. Like, we are a minority, guys. Like, we're already suffering. So how are we gonna now come and like start fighting each other? And I told you, I said, I'm only interested in like supporting each other's female DJs. I'm not interested in anything else. But and that's always my thing with girls. I just feel like it's so childish sometimes of girls to feel like we can compete or we can.
Well, there only needs to be one at the top.
There needs to be one. And it's so sad because society pins us against each other.
Yes.
Like, oh, Miss Cosmo, you're not as good as Sindo, or Sindo, you're not as good as whoever. Like, we are already struggling.
Yes.
So with that, I'm trying to make you understand that I have no, like, at any time when I'm looking at another female, at any time, if I am, I'm looking to benchmark. I'm looking to learn something from you. I'm looking I'm looking at you and thinking, okay, I like how Noni's doing that. Let me see if I can do it in my own way or learn from that. But I never put myself against another person or compete with another person, any person at all. And I feel like that's where we waste a lot of time as girls. So when it comes to Pearl is like a sister to me. And I think the sad thing about social media is that we filter the stuff that you guys get to see, or the stuff that we put out there. But Pearl and I are like the two Zulu girls with the same background. Sisikhulumela Zulu, siyamaqaba, you know what I mean? Like, we're just those girls that are just like, we can connect because I can say anything to her. Like, I can walk in front of Pearl without my wig on and not feel weird, and tell her anything and not feel weird. Like, we just have a sisterhood about us. So I think our relationship is much deeper than us trying to have a common enemy anywhere else. I feel like that's so weird, like that our relationship could be so solid and kept together by a common enemy. And I don't even think I have an enemy, really. I don't look at anyone and think, oh, that person's my enemy, or say, oh, I don't like that girl. Like, I've had bad interactions with the person before, but no one is that like amazing to occupy that kind of space in my life where now they have to be an enemy and inspire
it's
change.
a lot to carry.
And inspire things in my life. Like, no, I'd rather not even see you or interact with you or engage with you. I want to engage with women that inspire me. And the thing is, I just don't have, I think I'm old now. I just don't have the time, man.
Energy.
Or the energy, you know. And the thing is, I mean, we have this conversation all the time. And you are more cautious than I am about relationships. Like, you always been like, because I'm just like, oh, everybody's afraid. Like, let's go. And you're always like, just be cautious, just tread carefully. And I'm just like, oh no, come everybody. But I'm just like easy with people. And I think whenever I meet people that match that energy, it just flows. And Pearl was one of those people. So it's not really like, no. I mean, we gossip about people,
of
obviously,
course,
girls,
all girls do that. So obviously that's the beauty of being a woman, I guess. We get to gossip with each other and get away with a lot, don't we? Anyway, thank you for spending the time with me this afternoon. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think I also enjoyed how some of the gems that you kind of dropped that a lot of people don't really get to hear, because we expect people to know certain things, but the information, like you said, is not necessarily readily out there. And that's part of the reason why we're having these podcasts, is to kind of dig a little deeper and to kind of spread some love, especially for Women's Month. Do you have anything special you want to say just for any woman who's watching this right now, for them to take away for Women's Month?
Wow, that's a lot. I just feel like you just need to stick to what you're good at. Spend time knowing what that is. I think sometimes we spend a lot of time looking at what other people are doing, that when we look back at ourselves, we're just like, I'm actually far behind, because I've spent so much time worried about what Noni's doing, and I don't know anything about myself. I don't even know what my passion is, but I'm busy criticizing Noni and her passion and what she's doing. Just maybe use this time, Women's Month, to focus on yourself, to bless yourself, to take care of yourself, to love yourself, but just to be yourself. Learn about, like, and I always tell people this, just be selfish and just focus on yourself. That's the beauty, man, of being grown up, I guess. Just like understanding that you have everything that you need. Like, you literally have everything that you need. You don't need anything else. Like, you are you, and that is so amazing. Like, that's all you need. That's all you need. Just believe in that and just go for it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Brett.